Well, good morning again. When someone we know has lost a loved one, we often don't know what to say. We don't know what to do, and we don't always know what they need. And so, in an effort to be comforting, we offer sympathy and a lot of platitudes. We say things with the best intentions, but they're often not helpful. And we do all of these things because we just don't quite know how to handle death, especially unexpected death. We don't know why God allows certain things to happen in life, and we don't like feelings of hopelessness, and so we say things to try and make everything a little bit better. But what if we've gotten it all wrong? What if in life we're not meant to expect easy fixes? What if instead we're called to simply sit with the pain and loss of death and not try to make it all okay? Now, Easter Sunday may seem miles away by now in the past, but in the gospel today, it's only been about a week since Jesus was arrested and crucified. And what we know is that he rose from the dead, he made himself known to Mary Magdalene, and then he appeared to his disciples 3 times. And both Mary Magdalene and the disciples were still in a state of awe and shock upon seeing the risen Jesus. Their world had been turned upside down, and they didn't know what to think. And what stands out the most to me is that with every appearance that Jesus made to his disciples, a deeply human need was being met. For his own disciples, he comes to where they are and he meets their most deeply human needs. First, Jesus comes to the disciples who were hiding in a house out of fear and confusion. And he says to them, "Peace be with you. Peace be with you." He stands with them. He comforts them. And you know what? He doesn't chastise them in any way for their abandonment of him. And then, immediately, he shows them his hands and his side. And I've always been curious about this because I would think that the risen Jesus, who had been dead and in a tomb, now alive again, would somehow be fully healed, that he wouldn't have wounds on him, that he'd be new, made new in some way. But he doesn't. He still has those wounds, and he wants his disciples to look at them and touch them. I think he not only wants them to see that it really, truly is him back again from the dead, but he wants to show them something profound. It's as if he wants to say to them, "I am with you. I am with you. I'm here. You're not alone. And everything that you're feeling, I felt it too. Look at my scars. Touch my wounds. I too have felt the pain that you're feeling. I too have felt alone. I have felt lost and hopeless. I too have felt abandoned, even by God. I've been mocked, spat upon, beaten. I felt defeated. I have felt despair. I know how you feel, and I am with you." I think that's why he showed them his wounds. And then finally, in today's gospel, he comes to his disciples a 3rd time. He finds them by the Sea of Tiberias, and they're in a fishing boat. He stands on the shore and he calls out to them. And they don't know that it's Jesus. And knowing that they hadn't caught any fish, he tells them to cast the net on the right side of the boat. And upon doing so, they pull in a large amount of fish, too many to fully haul into the boat. And then they come ashore And he invites them to sit down by a fire. And then, what does he do? You would think this would be a beautiful teaching moment. But what Jesus does is fix them a meal. He cooks fish for them. He sits with them. He listens to them. And he eats with them. This is Jesus showing the comforting love of God to those most in need of it. This is Jesus being with these men at their time of deepest need. That is what Jesus did, and we're called to emulate it. My dad died of colon cancer when he was 51 years old, and it was very difficult for my family. It was somewhat expected, but it still came too soon. We knew that life would be different from that point on, but in the days immediately following his death, we couldn't fully comprehend it all. And I think, like the disciples, we felt simply a mix of shock and sadness and emptiness. It was painful. The one thing, though, I remember from that time in 2004 was that my friend Matt Mullinax drove to my mom's house late one night, the day after my dad had died, and he simply sat with me. We sat at the kitchen table, and he just sat and listened. I don't remember him saying much of anything to me that night, because I believe he knew that wasn't needed. What was needed wasn't sympathy or even empathy. What was needed was accompaniment. And so he accompanied me. He lamented with me. He sat and quietly felt the pain along with me. My friend Matt showed the same kind of compassion and physical presence that Jesus showed to his disciples. Even though Jesus was alive again, he knew all the emotions that his disciples had felt up to that point. All the fear that they still held within, all the anxiety that would accompany their days ahead. He knew, and he had been through it all. And so he sat with them, and he felt the pain along with them. And so the three main things that Jesus did for his disciples were, he came to them and he said, "Peace be with you." He offered them peace. And then he showed them the scars and the wounds that he still had on his body. "I am with you. I know what you're feeling." And then he made them a meal. Jesus did things that seem simple, but yet they're deeply meaningful. It went beyond empathy. It was being with and sitting with and eating with. He was being present and available to them, and we are called to do the same. This gospel today is about many things. It's about faith and trust, and it's about recognizing Jesus among us, looking and finding him. But it's also about Jesus' unique ability to just be with his disciples, to be with them in their most human needs: fear, abandonment, hiding, doubt, shame, and sadness. And so he was with them. He was physically with them to offer to them peace, to show them his hands and his wounds, and even to prepare a meal for them. And he does all of this out of love to meet every need that they had. And this is who God is. This is who God is, a God of love, a God of self-giving, a God who meets our deepest needs. In our doubt, in our pain, in our times of hopelessness, May we see Jesus beside of us. May we look for him, and may we find him. May we feel God accompanying us. And when we have the opportunity, may we go and do the same for someone else in need. Peace be with you. Amen.